but, you can't put yourself in that spot over and over again. I don't think we have, but, if you're down 15 in the NBA, it takes a lot of energy to come back. And so sometimes at the end of the game, you just don't quite have the juice to get over the top.
What did you think about the defense on D'Angelo overall?
I thought it was great until it wasn't. He was 0 for 3 from 3 going into the fourth quarter. Zone tests your communication. And I think for the most part, our communication was good. We just had a couple possessions where we lost him and we were about a half second late getting there. And, he's a really good shooter. I think up to that point, he had scored some baskets in the mid-range, which don't necessarily bother me. I think making guys work for those is not a huge issue. But, when you do go to zone, you have to be able to locate guys and try to take away the catch and shoot threes. I think that's probably the toughest part for me, is that I felt like of those 6, he hit one right in front of our bench that was off the dribble. Trying to remember if there was another one that was off the dribble. They felt like it was a lot of catch and shoot threes. So if I had any complaint, it would be that. But, up until then, I think we did a pretty good job making him work. I thought Nikhil was good, getting into the ball early in the game. So we'll go back, watch the zone. It's going to continue to be a part of our identity. It's a good way for us to mix up the game. And I thought the guys did a great job of it.
Gobert took that shot at the end, unguarded, one when the game was already basically over. What did you think about that?
It was a nice layup. Yeah. He now has 22 points. Played a great game.
It's a nice layup.
That's the extent of my
trying
thoughts
not
on that
to
play.
laugh right now.
We got more Jazz post-game on the way. Big T. Thurl Bailey joins us in just a moment. Malik Beasley knocking down the 3, a little shimmy in front of the Wolves bench.
That was hilarious. Coach says it was a nice layup, and you could tell he was trying not to laugh at the question. That kind of got me off track, but really the highlight of the game was the shimmy by Beasley. Before the game started, I thought, man, Beasley needs to, he needs to be one of those guys that is going to score a lot. He finishes with 23 points, shoots 50% from the field, 41% from 3. Let's see, 2 steals, 4 rebounds. I mean, I'll take that from Beasley. I just, when you drop into that zone, I'm not opposed to zone, and that zone actually works for us at times. But what I think players don't realize is they need to work harder than they do in man in order for those shots not to be taken by D'Angelo Russell, or at least make him dribble past you. But when a guy's on fire like that and you're sitting in a zone, like, you got to sprint out to the player to make him make a different decision. So, Landon, I saw that you finally requested. I'm going to go to Kevin first, and then we're going to hop over to you. So, Kevin, are you there?
Yeah. First off, I say this every post game. They got to fire that girl. She asks the dumbest questions every post-game.
Who is it? I don't
know. At first I thought it was Holly, but it's not. It's not her voice.
It's not Sarah else. Todd, is it?
I don't know who it is, but she literally asks the dumbest questions at the end of every podcast. Not podcast, but end of every interview. It's so stupid. Anyways, stat of the game, 0 blocks for the Utah Jazz. Not 1 for the entire team.
Yeah, and Kessler got in foul trouble in the beginning. I know that Vando had about double the minutes than he did at halftime, and I think that kind of hurt us. But I don't think Kessler or not having Kessler or not having him would have made that big of a difference tonight.
Well, it was nice. It seems like Hardy's taken the training wheels off Kessler, which has really been kind of nice. He's not pulling him out when he gets dominated by the big men, because I'll be honest, Gobert took him to school today. It wasn't even pretty for Kessler, but he put him back in there, let him face against Gobert. Hopefully he learns some things and he can come out and continue to play well against the big guys, because he's struggled so far this season against the big guys.
Yeah, I
just think the Jazz wanted to give Gobert a win at home. They just didn't. Their heart wasn't in it tonight.
It kind of felt like that, especially with just all these players dropping off. I don't know.
Am I crazy, or did it just seem like Conley and Clarkson were just chucking the ball up? Like they weren't. It didn't feel like they were really setting their feet. Like I kept watching Clarkson take those like fade to the side, fade away threes, and I'm like, just set your feet, homie, and take the shot.
Yeah, it was definitely a weird game. Just not that engaging. I think the fans were wanting to be, but like I said, the Beasley 3 and the shimmy were probably the most they got engaged. I would go on a limb and say that was probably Walker Kessler's worst game of the season. He got 7 rebounds, but he just looked a step behind on everything. And I think you're right. I think Gobert totally handled him, and maybe there's a little bit of pressure for him to perform again, since he had that first game against Gobert that was actually really, really good.
Yeah, I think that was as bad as the Clipper game. I would say that Clippers game was the worst one I've seen this year, but I think this was a struggle too. Like when he was up against Zubats, like he really struggled.
Yeah. Yeah, I like seeing Ochai get in there. He hit a big 3. Rudy Gay was rough to watch tonight. I mean, if he's not hitting his threes, he went 0 for 4 and 1 for 7, shot 14%. What is he good for? He's not doing anything else if he's not hitting shots that like affect the game, in my opinion. Talen Horton-Tucker finally got to play again. He played 10 minutes. Nothing overwhelming, nothing underwhelming. Like, just didn't notice anything really. Landon, I'm going to go over to you. If you want to talk about these awesome jerseys and where you kind of come up with I know where you came up with the lavender one, but if you haven't seen, Landon's created these lavender jerseys. There's a lavender hoodie that Ryan Smith was wearing, and he mocked up some really nice jerseys. I reposted them, but let's go over to Landon. What are your thoughts on the game? And are you trying to get hired by the Jazz to design us some new jerseys?
Yeah, I'll definitely take that opportunity. That's unfortunate. I don't know how easy that is, but it's more of just a hobby. Obviously, I'm a big time fan. Been a fan my whole life. So just as far as the game going tonight, I agree with what's been said about Walker Kessler. He looked a step behind. He looked like a rookie to me. But I guess that's what happens when you've got the 3-time defensive player of the year facing off against you in his return to where the history that he's had here in Utah. So even then, though, I still feel like there was a lot of stuff I didn't like. I really didn't like JC's play the first half. I thought it just didn't seem sloppy, and I realized Mike coming back, the roles change a little bit again, but just not a good game, not a great game. Other than Malik Beasley's performance, I thought was great. And I still I don't know, good to have Rudy Gay back, as big of a body as he is, but underperformed as well, I believe. So, that's as far as the game goes. In regards to the jersey mock-ups, I'm not a graphic designer per se. I'm a marketing specialist, and so I have a background in some design work, in specifically real estate, but this is just something that I really enjoy. When all the hustle and bustle was going on about the new jerseys, I believe it was even before, it could have been after they were released, but somebody had ran into Ryan Smith. He was wearing that jersey. They took a picture. He showed him a bunch of what's to come, the future of Jazz basketball in regards to design and jerseys and things like that. And I just remember thinking, holy crap, we could use a jersey that color. And so it's stuck with me for a long time. It's nagged me for a long time. And I don't know what made me pull the trigger today, but finally got onto it and started messing with it. And I've always had a couple ideas swirling. So I did like a icon jersey, an association jersey with that lavender color mixed with our OG purple and white. And then I did a statement jersey as well, added a little bit. One of the colors that the Jazz have utilized in the past is that copper color, usually with a black.
Yeah.
And I just freaking love that color because it's very unique. Reminds me of like our roots, our New Orleans roots with brass band or things like that.
Yeah, I just bought a hat with the snowflake with the snowball in it. It's all black with the brass color, and I think a jersey with just black and brass would be awesome.
Yes, one of the ones I did put together was that snowflake logo that the Jazz have made. I found an all copper one, and made like a city edition. So a giant copper snowflake basketball logo right in the center there with some black. It's black with copper and white accents. So far, that's actually my favorite jersey, even more than the two lavender ones.
Cool.
But I did do a statement jersey.
Did you release those copper ones?
Copper. Yeah.
Okay.
I think my last tweet. I think I was a little preemptive because I put out an all white and purple statement jersey tweet, and then I quote tweeted it myself and kind of showed what direction I was really trying to go with my finished product.
Well, with those lavender jerseys, I think it's spot on because it kind of serves to like women. I think the women would be attracted to that. I know it's my grandma's like favorite color. She has her walls painted in her bedroom that color. And it's also something where it's like there's not any NBA jerseys with lavender that I can think of.
It is a feminine color per se, like, on that spectrum, but I think that it is a beautiful color, and I think that it's a unique color.
Yeah, but you're still keeping like the original purple theme, and then when you add the OG purple with the lavender, I just think it looks awesome. So I think it would appeal to a lot of people, and if you put the mountains in there, then you bring back the John and Carl era. So I love it. If you guys haven't checked it out, go check it out. I know you have your Twitter pay or profile, and then your like uniform profile. Do you want to shout those out so people can go follow them?
So I don't have a uniform profile.
Oh, I thought you did. Sorry.
No, I don't. I just have mine, which is LJ_Rennie. But I have done stuff in the past with Jazz uniform mockup, Jazz uniform mockup, and the Colonel. If you know him, we've kind of gone back and forth on some stuff. So just excited and glad to be in the circle with everybody and be able to put out some stuff that hopefully you guys like. And if Ryan wants to give me a call and
Ryan, come on, bro. No, it's funny because I posted those jerseys and somebody commented on it and said it's funny how the fans can create better jerseys than the team itself. And I couldn't agree more. I've seen so many different mock-ups where it's like, why couldn't we have just picked one of these? Right. And I don't know if you've seen that they're surveying fans now. Have you caught any wind of what they've been surveying on, or are you totally in the dark on that?
Unfortunately, I went to the game before they started doing the surveys, which sucks. But sounds like every game for a little bit. I don't know what their window is, but they'll be surveying fans in the arena at the game to show some different mock-ups. And a lot of the mock-ups sounds like lots of purple, lots of mountains, different renditions. From what was explained on Twitter, I didn't love what was being explained. It almost sounds like there's a couple that are integrating the Jazz note and the Mountain into one jersey, and where it's as simple as it gets now. Yeah, it seems a little clashy. So I don't know. I trust the organization. I'm excited to see what happens, but it's hard to get worse than where we're at now, personally, I think. But
well, we had a fan on from Finland last podcast, and we were talking about Lauri, of course, and he's like, "Yeah, I got my jersey on the way." I think Tevin asked him, "What one did you get?" And he said, "Oh, the purple one with mountains." And he said, "Yeah, I just don't like any of the other ones." So it's not just a thing in America, and unfortunately, I think we're stuck with him for one more year. But I want to get back into the game, Landon. I appreciate you jumping on. You can just leave your speaker muted, and then the more that we get people approved, you can kind of just chime in whenever you want. Dallin, I want to go to you if you're there, or JC's drip. It's kind of a weird game to even talk about it. It feels like there's not a lot to talk about, but D'Angelo Russell goes off. Gobert has a good game, but you can't help but think if we have Lauri, even just Lauri with Mike Conley back, we win that game. But if you have Collin Sexton and Simone Fontecchio, that adds to your depth. But what is your thoughts, JC Drip? I just approved you. Educate the people.
You hear me?
Yeah, man.
Hey, you're right. It's kind of, it is a weird game because there's not much to talk about, although it's Rudy's return. So there should be more to talk about, but just kind of the way the game ended was really weird. A lot of momentum shifts. I was talking to my dad. It was like a 2-point game, and then 30 seconds later, it's an 8-point game, and then we cut it back down to 2, and then they went back up 8 again. I tweeted this earlier. I think, if we had Lauri, this is a win, but also I think, with Lauri out, even if we had Fontecchio tonight to play those minutes for Gay, I think we would win too, because, we'd have momentum some periods throughout the game. And Rudy Gay's flat-ass jump shot, bricking every single shot. It just killed our momentum. It killed our rhythm. So I think those are shots that Fontecchio makes, and I think we pull it out, or at least lose by less than 4 if we're going to lose if we did have Fontecchio in the game.
Yeah, watching Mike come back, he's really good, but the whole time I'm just like, if he has Lauri there to run a pick and roll, they score like every single time, because Lauri can he understands how to run the pick and roll, but he can shoot it outside if he needs to, or go inside. So, but even just having Sexton or Fontecchio, like the thing with Fontecchio and Gay is, even if Fontecchio is missing his shots, I just feel like he brings more energy and more enthusiasm when he's in the game. I actually don't think he's that bad of a defender. There's some people that would argue and say that Rudy Gay is very efficient, and when he's on the floor, our net rating is up. But I think most Jazz fans are just frustrated with him because he's not going to be part of the future going forward. Collin,
it only comes out the first game, like his first return from injury, first game of the season, whatever it might be, and then for the rest of the season he fades. And the other thing I wanted to say too, I know Kessler had a bad game, like you said, probably the worst of the season. But I liked seeing Conley run minutes with Kessler. That pick and roll with Kessler's dive dunk was nice to watch. And I think that maybe not the future with Conley and Kessler, but to have Kessler in the game with a ball handler, with a pick and roll guard, is really helpful for him. And it's something to take away from the game. It was just nice to see.
Yeah, I think the more minutes they get together, they'll get some chemistry and figure that out. It took a while for him and Rudy Gobert to get that lob going and understand where they're going to roll to and what their tendencies are. Collin, let's go over to you. I want to hit on Vanderbilt. I don't know I'm not going to say anything, but I'd love, Collin, if you talk about Vanderbilt, but if you don't want to, you can talk about something else if your heart is just burning on fire.
I'll let you talk about Vando because obviously it seems like there's something you want to talk about with Vando. But I did join late. I wanted to talk about that last possession with the Rudy Gobert dunk. And I'm sure you guys already talked about it, but I wanted to give my 2 cents. I think it's funny that this is a big thing in baseball, unwritten rules. And I hate them. God, I hate unwritten rules. It is so dumb to say that there is an unwritten rule out of respect when you are a professional player making millions of dollars a year. Who gives a F if Rudy Gobert wants to dunk the ball at the end of the game? Who cares? Go sleep in your mansion at the end of the day and forget about it the next morning. It's so stupid to me that these players complain about a dunk. Who cares about 2 points? Let him have it. Let him have it. The same thing happened tonight in with the Pelicans. The Suns gave up. They were down like 15, and they passed it to Zion, and Zion did a 360 windmill dunk. And you know what? It was fun to watch. And the fans are paying hundreds of dollars for tickets. They should get to see that. And they think about the fact that they don't get to see it because there's some unwritten rule in basketball. Screw that. But I did also want to say, imagine if that was Donovan Mitchell, and what would Twitter be doing right now if that was Donovan Mitchell making that dunk at the end of the game? It would be chaos right now.
Yeah, I think that unwritten rule is kind of old school. I mean, I guess if it's like in the playoffs or like you're up by 20 points, just blowing a team out, but I'm not mad about it. I think the announcers, Bowlerjack and Thurl, said, "Oh, Rudy would have done himself a favor not shooting that," and then Malik Beasley gets in his face, and honestly, I just think Malik Beasley wanted to get on ESPN somehow. I don't know, and get on TV. But it's like, dude, yeah, I agree with you. It's nothing, and nobody should be upset that Rudy finished that. It's like, just be happy for the guy to get 2 extra points.
Yep, I hate it because it's just rich people getting their egos hurt. That's what I see it as. Like, I love the players. I love Malik Beasley, but at the end of the day, dude, you're a millionaire. Who cares? Who cares? It's not that big of a deal. You're okay.
Yeah, it's still going to show up as a loss and a win for Minnesota.
It makes no difference.
I'm going to totally disagree with you on this.
Really? Kevin's in the house.
So here's the thing. Millionaires, you're right. What does it matter? But these are the guys that I want to be role models for my kid, and I want my kid to learn good sportsmanship. And I don't think that that's good sportsmanship because it's unnecessary. Like, from a millionaire, NBA team, whatnot, totally get that. But that's my drawback, is I don't think it's very sportsmanlike. And I've seen some pretty big brawls in lower level basketball, like high school and lower level, break out because of silly little things like that.
Well, I will say this. I think that at any other level, even college, I think people shouldn't do it. But I think that, and I understand your point about your kids watching professionals, and I'm not going to say that, I'm not going to say that, you're wrong, because you're not wrong. Like, kids do look up to these guys. But I'm saying it more of a sense is, I don't think any of the fans were upset tonight. Or very few were. It was mainly the play. It's mainly a player thing. It's mainly a player to player thing. And I think it's kind of silly. To me, I
agree with that. I don't
disagree on that one, but
I don't even 100% disagree with you. I just, the rule, where the rule comes from, I understand, and I can sympathize with where the rule comes from. Because at the end of the day, you need to teach your kid how to act. He shouldn't be acting like Rudy Gobert or whatnot. So, I mean, it's on the parents.
Yeah, and what I would say is...
But I understand where the rule comes from, and I'm not upset where it comes from, but it is a little dumb that Beasley's getting all up in his face like Rudy Gobert just disgraced his whole family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I will say is, did y'all see the Zion dunk at the end of the game tonight?
I didn't.
See that? He did a 360 windmill dunk, and they were already up 20 or something like that, and it was in the final seconds of the game. to run out the clock, basically.
Were they in New Orleans?
Yeah, they were in New Orleans. And so I was going to say, I was like, imagine how cool that was for the fans just to watch that at the end of the game, to cap off a big win against a good Suns team. I was like, that's awesome to me. Like, that's really cool. Like, to see your young, supposed to be franchise player who was injured for the longest time go 10 feet up in the air, 360, and slam it home to emphasize a win. Like, I'd be like, wow. Like, if I was there, I'd be like, this is cool, you know?
Did you see what Utah Avs put in the comments? I think that I forgot about that.
What it is?
When they the quote from Minnesota's coach, like, you don't want that kind of stuff. Don't press us when we're up 10 points, and he's right. Like,
he is right about that.
They were up. Utah was up in their faces. So
yeah, we were still trying to get a steal and make it a game.
Yeah.
Also,
they'll get butthurt when you press them and they score on you. Like,
also,
I forgot about that.
We should go back to the Utah versus Minnesota game in Minnesota, where Vando did the same thing. It wasn't 10 points, but the game was already won. He had the ball in his hand with 2 seconds left, and he decided to slam it, hang on the rim, and like emphasize a dub and start screaming into the crowd. Like,
Yeah, I think it totally depends on your intent of scoring, because there are situations where someone dunks it just to shove it in the other person's face. Zion obviously was probably just trying to put a show on for the home crowd. Had Zion been on the road, maybe it's taken totally different. But
yeah, I understand that too. If I was on the road, I'm like, well, whatever. Like, but when it's at home, I think it's a little bit different.
Yeah, I don't think the intent of Rudy Gobert was to do that at all. I mean, he's wide open under the basket, gets thrown the ball, and he dunked it, but it wasn't like he hung on the rim or tried to rip the rim off. It was just...
He did a little bit.
He just dunked it, and yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't make anything of it, so...
No, yeah, I don't either.
If anything, he was probably just trying to put a show on for his fans.
Yeah, he's like, I'm in Utah. Maybe he forgot for a split second that he was on another team.
You know what? And I loved it. I think that Rudy should be able to dunk that ball. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I think that whenever you talk to your kids about that kind of stuff, like, kind of just emphasize the professional from the non-professional, and
here's if you're worried about your kids watching and sportsmanship, the thing that I'm truly worried about with all professional sports, and this comes from coaching junior high and high school because I saw it all the time. You get these players celebrating after every little single thing they do, especially like in the NFL when they make a tackle and they start dancing around. It's like, congratulations, you did your job. And that's, to me, what little kids are watching more than maybe, who's scoring the last point, the last second. Like, I can't tell you how many times players that I coached would start celebrating before the game was over, and then it would cost us the game because they wanted to do the Dougie or whatever the latest dance is on the court.
And that's very true for the NFL. The NFL is actually really funny with that kind of stuff. I think in college football, players will celebrate after they give up a first down just because they hit a player hard. I think even that Cam Rising hit was after a first down, and then the defender started flexing. I was like, dude, you gave up the first down. Why are you flexing? You didn't do your job.
Yeah.
Like, you hit him hard, but you didn't do your job.
Yeah, it happens all the time. And, maybe it makes a good play, but it's like you're down by how many points, or, you totally messed up the play before that, and now you're bragging about how great it was to score 2 points or whatever. So anyways, that's what I'm worried about as like a dad, and for the youth, is just the way that these professional athletes act after doing something that's not that great. I want to go back to the Vanderbilt, because sometimes I feel like I'm on an island as far as Vanderbilt, and I want to get your guys' opinion. But to me, to me, the dude, like, I tweeted out tonight, I stopped calling him Vando because I felt like he doesn't even, that's like kind of a nickname, and he doesn't deserve a nickname. And then I started calling him Vanderbilt, but then it's not even worth writing his name out fully spelled. So then I just started saying number 8. And I tweeted out tonight, number 8 plays defense like a gummy worm. And what I mean by that is anytime he gets touched, he's just so soft. Like he doesn't, it's almost like he doesn't like to be touched. Like, those people that don't like to be hugged or anything. It's almost like that. And the other point is he seems like he's on the ground about every other play. And I just can't figure it out. So we got one.
Dude, I warned you at the beginning of the season when he had those like first 6 games and you were like screaming his name. I told you he's not that good. And that's your problem now is you're realizing who he really is and you're eating that crow.
Yeah, I was super high on him. I was like, man, I can't believe we got this guy and Beasley and Kessler. And I'm definitely eating crow because I thought he was going to be like one of the main players. We have the Exum index. I'm happy that you still have Exum as your profile picture. That's hilarious. But he just requested to speak, so we're going to turn the mic over to the Exum index. Are you there?
I'm here. I don't know. I don't really know how much to comment on Vanderbilt after this game, but in the beginning of the season when he seemed like he was doing his best, for some reason the comp that came to my head was Robert Williams in terms of everybody talking about that like quote unquote roving big man, who's like out there to not necessarily space the floor, but out there for like defensive pressure. And I guess maybe I haven't necessarily seen him in that position, but his minutes have been tweaked lately, so I guess I don't know exactly how to bring that up, but I thought it made a lot of sense, at least when he was in the starting lineup and he was like the non-shooting big man, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and he didn't start tonight. I mean, if he was Robert Williams, that would be awesome. But I don't know. I just don't think his shooting is there. He actually doesn't have a bad shot. I don't think his shot's broken or anything. But I just think mentally he can't be relied upon for that.
No, I think that's totally fair. I think what we really saw a lot tonight was that we could have really used Lauri, somebody that was higher and more above, like, the wingspans of a lot of the Timberwolves defenders, and that would have probably really clearly helped us out. But I'm team tank out anyway, so I'm happy with tonight.
I wish Armani was in here because he's the guy that always says get Lauri the damn ball. And tonight it was evident that we missed Lauri, even though we got Mike back. Like, you got to have a healthy team, and we just didn't. The other player I wanted to hit on too is Nah. He gets the start, and he goes 4 for 8 from the field, 2 for 4 from the 3-point line. Not great from the free throw line. He shot 33%, but he only shot 3, and then finished with 11 points, 4 assists, 1 steal, 4 rebounds. What do you guys think of Na? Is he, like, in your mind, the better point guard over THT?
Yeah, hands down. I don't think THT can hold. I mean, THT can get to the brim better. I think THT has the ability to drive the hoop and finish at the rim better. But I definitely prefer Nas' shot. And I definitely think Nas sees the floor better. I mean, that pass that he made, not tonight, but the night before.
Yeah.
To freaking Beasley.
Yeah, that 3-point.
THT ain't doing that. THT is going to dunk it, and then he's going to celebrate, and then he's not going to get back on defense, and we're going to lose that game.
Yeah, I agree. I think the thing right now that I'm kind of observing is I think THT has ability, and there was a stretch there where we saw him kind of breaking out of his shell and figuring things out. But I feel like the lineup switches so much. Maybe that's because there's been so many injuries early on. Maybe it's because coach is just trying to figure things out. But I feel like players, especially these younger players, lose confidence quickly when, let's say THT doesn't play an entire 2 games in a row or only gets 5 minutes. Is it something to worry about, or is it just they're young players and it's their job to figure it out?
I know you're really high on THT. You said many times, like, he's the only player on our team with any championship experience and whatnot. But I don't know. I just think he is who he is at this point. I think he needs to drop another 25 pounds, get in a little bit better shape, work on his shot. Otherwise, he's just a fringe player at best. I don't think he's ever a starter. I think he's maybe a decent backup, but I don't know. I don't think he's going to get much past what he is. If he can't do it in Utah, I don't think he's going to do it anywhere else. Maybe he can go play with Butler in Iowa.
Anybody else have thoughts on it? I would say I don't want to say I'm high on THT. I think it's a good battle going on between him and Na. I think for each player, there's just going to be times where you can use them both. I think the thing with Na that is much more impressive than THT is he's just always ready. I don't think you have to worry about him and his confidence. He's been in the league a little bit longer and maybe is relishing the moment a bit more. Like he's been waiting for this moment a lot longer to get his shot. I think Na's defense and his energy is excellent. I actually think THT's defense is good too against certain players like Luka or someone with a bigger body. But yeah, it's interesting to me, especially with, Collin Sexton or Mike Conley out, who is that next guy up? And maybe when Conley and Mike might get healed, we're not going to see either one of them, frankly. The other player that I really want to see more of, because I feel like he hasn't hit his rhythm yet or gotten a fair shot, is Ochai. And I felt like he played a solid game. The one thing that stood out was the 3 in the corner, but nothing like crazy. But what do you guys feel about Ochai, what we've seen so far?
Totally with you. Obviously that 3. I mean, like, with the opportunity that he's given, he doesn't have enough time to get into his rhythm. But defensively, like, he's got really long arms. He had that stop. I don't know if really anyone noticed it, but he had that stop on Naz Reid on his drive.
Yeah.
Knocked the ball free. It's little things like that. That's, why I'm so high on Ochai. But I think this roster is so deep. I think, whatever minutes that he's getting so far, I think that's what we're going to see for the rest of the season. Hopefully not, but that's just how I feel.
Yeah, and if you go back and watch the game that we won by a point last game, he actually set a really good screen for Malik Beasley to get that open 3-point shot that was passed out by Na. So I think he does do these little tiny things that go unnoticed. And unless you're really hyper focused in on what he's doing, I think most people don't notice. But I'm glad you brought that point up that there's tiny little stuff that if he could get more minutes and get a little more confidence, maybe that tiny stuff will turn into big stuff. We play again tomorrow night in Denver. I know I think we split this six game homestand. Did we go 3-3? Am I right?
I think so. I'm checking, but I think you're right.
I believe we did.
Yep, we went 3-3.
So, I mean, I expected us to at least win 4, if not 5. So kind of disappointing homestand. I think that the injuries definitely played a part in that. But we go once again. I didn't know that we ended this homestand by going to Denver on a back-to-back. Crazy. I think this will be our 8th or 9th. I want to say 8th back-to-back out of 13. So it'll be nice to just get these back-to-backs out of the way. Denver won last night against Phoenix with a last-second shot by Jamal Murray. And so it just feels like the entire West is so jumbled right now. With the loss tonight, the Jazz fall to 7th before the game where they were in 6th place, but they're only 3.5 games out of 1st place. But they're also only 4 games, 3.5 games out of 13th place where the Los Angeles Lakers are. So we're just sitting there in that middle ground. We could tank if we want to still. We could, if we really want to make a push when we're healthy, go back to the top 4 in the West, I feel. But Kevin, I know you hit on this a lot with being mediocre, and I don't think there's a more mediocre team than the Timberwolves, to be honest.
Jordan, real quick, I just want to get your opinion. What do you want out of this season? It's something that I've been thinking about because you want to see, do you want to for the future and get these guys minutes and experience, or are you on the tank train? I don't think you are, but how do you feel about the season so far, and what do you want for the rest of the season?
I think at the beginning of the season, I was definitely wanting to win. I wasn't with the tank at all. Then once Mike went out and we started losing, I'm like, okay, does it kind of make sense? And honestly, I would say I'm confused. I'm confused on what to do, because it's almost like if we were to try and win a first series, the only way I'd want to win is if we're serious about winning the first series, just to get the bad taste out of our mouth of the last few years. We'd have to be 100% healthy on all fronts in order to even have a chance. And I mean, it could happen, but a lot of the times there's injuries, and we see how badly they hurt us. Obviously, to me, if you're gonna win, you need Conley and Lauri in order to do anything. And if either one of those two are hurt or can't play a majority of the season, I would lean towards tanking.
Are you a buyer or seller at the trade deadline?
Oh, I think the Jazz are for sure making a trade by the trade deadline. That's what my gut tells me.
But are you buying to succeed in the playoffs, or are you selling for the future?
I would just say that it depends on what the deal is. If you can land a really good player that you see the future being around, then great. If you can offload some contracts like Rudy Gay, maybe even Conley to get some money or other draft picks, I'm fine either way. I just want a trade to make sense for us and what we give away.
So I was talking to my buddy about this the other day, and because he wants to buy at the trade line, and he's pretty convinced of that. And we got talking about, if we buy at the trade line, is it a 1-year thing, a 2-year thing, is it a 5-year thing? Like who are we getting that helps us to continue to progress? And we got looking at the roster, and kind of the scary thing is if we buy at the deadline, it just kind of delays the rebuild. The rebuild still comes in probably another year or two. As Conley's contract expires, the chance of potentially losing JC, which I hope we don't. I'd like to keep him a little bit longer. Gay then is leaving, and if we don't get anything for him, then we've lost for that. We just have a lot of contracts that are up in the next 2 years. So if we buy, are we buying an all-in this year? Who are we buying that's going to get us out of the first round, yet continue to make us better for the next 3 to 5 years?
John Collins, question mark?
Yeah.
Maybe John Collins. I mean, if the price isn't too heavy.
Yeah.
But if you get a player like that, how many picks are we giving up?
I've been thinking about this for a while. I really just want a yes or no from you guys. Kelly Olynyk, Vanderbilt, Collin Sexton, and a late, 2027 maybe, first round pick.
Ooh, for Collins?
For Collins, and maybe another one on the Hawks.
No.
Yeah, I would say I'd be okay with Vanderbilt and Olynyk. I personally wouldn't give up on Sexton yet. I think you could, if he gets back to his form before his injury, that he could be worth more than that.
Given Collins' value, I don't think he's worth more than Lauri in a first. I think you give him anything more than Lauri in a first, and you're overpaying.
Yeah.
At least the way Lauri's been playing recently, because Lauri's outplaying Collins. He's outplaying what Collins has ever done in Atlanta. So you're giving up a player who is a better shooter, not as athletic. Both are about the same defensively. And
Collins has been. I was going to say Collins has perpetually been on the trade block. Like, I think of him as Miles Turner 1.5. Honestly,
Yeah.
Like, it's the same thing. He's just on the block for forever. Everybody assumes that he's going to get a first round pick. I think that they are expecting that pick to be good, and it's not really panning out that way in every conversation that they have. That's just my assumption. I have no idea, but I don't see the need to overpay for John Collins. And I know there's been interest from the Jazz, at least reported, on John Collins, but I think it's just like checking out the price point and kind of seeing like, hey, are they still like absurd and thinking? I mean, it's their big leverage play. I mean, they don't really want to trade DeAndre Hunter because of all this upside, but John Collins they're happy to, lure him.
Well, and someone else, I mean, if you throw in Olynyk and Vanderbilt, I could see that working for Atlanta, but then, you've got these other players that might make more sense than throwing in Conley or Sexton, where you could throw in Rudy Gay or THT or Nah to give them a little something extra. But yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't overpay for John Collins either. He's someone that I would want on the team. I think he would fill Vanderbilt's spot incredibly well and do much better. I know his numbers have dropped off a little bit recently, but honestly, I think he wants out of Atlanta. And quite frankly, Atlanta needs to make a move. There's too many good teams in the East for them to even be competing, even after they got DeJounte Murray. Like the Celtics are by far the favorite. They're running away with the East. And then you got the Celtics, 76ers, Milwaukee. I just don't think Atlanta can beat any of those teams.
But I also don't think anything short of Lauri and maybe like Beasley and JC gets them to compete with the Celtics. And they're not going to give up enough, in my mind, to get three of those caliber players from us.
Yeah, I would not give up Lauri for Collins. No way. No way. All right.
That's why I honestly think we're sellers at the trade line, or we just stand pat. Which, if we stand pat and we end up making the playoffs and losing the first round, in my mind, this season will be a loss. Like, I don't see how there's any positive from that.
Yeah, I personally think there's going to be a trade because I think there's going to be other teams throughout the league that want to make a move by the trade deadline to be competitive. And I think Danny will put something together. Could be dead wrong, but I just think that that's going to happen, especially after he's been able to see a sample size of who can do what and where they're going to fit in this team. I'm sure he sees the holes and the needs. Obviously, our rebounding is just abysmal, man. I can't take it in the transition defense. But anyways, we're gonna be back at it tomorrow night. We are in Denver. Honestly, if we don't get our guys back, I don't think we have a shot at all. What do you guys think?
1,000%. No Lauri, it's a loss, and it's on a back to back. So
yeah,
it's gonna be really, really rough. Like, we got lucky that Djokovic wasn't tuned up yet when we played him last time. He's been on a roll recently.
Yeah,
and
Jamal Murray too.
Yeah, both of those guys could potentially put 30 up on us, and it'll be terrifying.
Well, disappointing night. I really wanted to go to the game. I'm kind of glad I didn't because it was just snooze fest, quite honestly. And I'm excited to get Lauri back. I don't know what he has. That was pretty unexpected that he hasn't played the last couple games. And if you guys are listening from anywhere else in the world, make sure you follow us on Twitter and join these spaces live. That's been some of the funnest stuff we've done with fans in Uruguay and Finland. I know we've got people in France, Germany, Italy. There's actually like 20, I want to say 28 or 29 different countries that listen to the podcast, which is incredible. I'll have to name them off one day when I have the entire list, but it's really cool that the podcast reaches fans that are not in the United States and maybe don't have easy of access to the team as we do here in Utah. And we've got, Collin on the East Coast. We usually have Armani. I think he's in Utah. Calvin's not here. And
I'm in California.
Sorry?
I'm in California.
California. So yeah,
Yes,
we're coast to coast, man. We're worldwide. But Dallin, I see you in there lurking, bro. Usually you talk. I don't know. Are your 5 kids keeping you off the mic tonight?
He's probably driving tonight.
He's like, I'm not even gonna try and request or type back. So thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. Again, this podcast is nothing without you guys. Now Dallin requests. Here we go. Talk to us, man. What's going on? Oh, it's connecting. Yeah, he's probably on the road.
I'm trying to block him.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not on the road. I've been listening the whole time. Yeah, just disappointing night. Not really anything. JC had a pretty horrible game, but he didn't hit a single 3, and yeah, and we're gonna get slaughtered in Denver tomorrow night. So
yeah, it'll be, if we pull that off, I don't know, we're gonna have to pull off some trapping zone or something. So well, I appreciate it, Dallin. I'm glad that you're awake and alive. I heard your kids in the background, so I'm sure they're keeping you busy. But we'll see you guys tomorrow night, and go Jazz. We fall to 15-13. We are now just barely above 500, 7th place in the Western Conference. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Peace out.
Peace.